It was back in 1843 that Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol. The celebrated writer's anti-poverty novella was a strange idea, said his publishers, and they refused to meet the full publication costs. So Dickens stumped up the money himself, then switched to a rival publisher, and his masterpiece has since never been out of print. Dickens was indeed shocked and disgusted at living conditions amongst Britain's poorest during the Industrial Revolution, and he set out to write a ghost story that would be, in his words, a sledgehammer blow on behalf of poor children, bringing their plight to public attention with what the author called 20,000 times the force of any government statement. While the UK no longer has children working in factories and families starving on the streets, we do still have a poverty problem in this country. Poverty these days tends to be relative rather than absolute, with people very rarely left without the most basic provisions, but left far, far poorer than much of the rest of society, which means they can't participate in aspects of life which the rest of us take for granted. Consider a new report from the Centre for Social Justice, based on polling evidence, that no fewer than 8 million people living in the UK, representing around a quarter of all households, have said they want to cancel Christmas due to financial worries. As inflation spirals and for many of us wages aren't keeping up with price rises, the UK's cost of living crisis, which we often highlight here on The Money, is now starting to bite. The Centre for Social Justice found that 22% of us will this year cut back on Christmas presents for our loved ones due to fears of rising debt. 33%, a third of us, will borrow to cover the cost of Christmas presents and food. And 9%, almost 1 in 10, say they're using or will use unregulated buy now, pay later credit sources, meaning they'll pay higher rates of interest and could end up chased by debt collectors in the new year. There's clearly a growing generational divide here in Britain, made worse by lockdown. Nearly 1 in 5 18 to 34-year-olds reports they're living in financial hardship, while only 1 in 20 of those who are 55 or older say the same. Without reliable credit options, the Centre for Social Justice warns the UK could face a surge in so-called hidden debts, where vulnerable people find themselves forced to borrow from friends, family members, and even illegal sources, such as dangerous loan sharks. The poll also showed that severe debt problems can have a detrimental effect on close relationships. More than a quarter of us who've experienced problems with debts say our relationships with spouses and partners have been damaged by financial concerns. There's nothing in the world so irresistibly contagious as laughter and good humour, Dickens wrote in A Christmas Carol. And after the year we've all had, I'd say we all need some of that. But the pressures of Christmas and the New Year make it one of the most financially demanding times in the calendar, where too many fall into debt they can't repay. And while the horrors of Victorian England are thankfully no longer with us, there is still genuine poverty across Britain, a scandal which must be addressed. And that's our On the Money question today. How can families survive the financial cost of Christmas?